It is minerals and rocks. Now, first of all, what is the difference between a mineral and a rock? Rock is nothing but it is an aggregate of more than one mineral. Rock is an aggregate of more than one mineral, which is nothing but mineral is considered as a subset of rock. A single rock can contain or comprise of more number of minerals. Now, about 98% of the total Earth crust is comprised of 8 elements. They are, try to remember this order: oxygen, silicon, aluminum, and iron. Top 4. This order is important. These are the top 4 elements of Earth's crust. And apart from this, you have calcium, sodium, potassium, magnesium, and even titanium, hydrogen, phosphorus, manganese, sulfur, carbon, and nickel. Okay, so try to remember these 8, especially top 4 in order. Okay, next, then what is mean by mineral? Mineral, any substance which, if it is to be considered as a mineral, it has to satisfy the following conditions. First of all, it must be a naturally occurring substance. It must be available in the nature. Secondly, it is inorganic mainly or abiotic. It is inorganic mainly or abiotic. Next, it should have an ordered atomic structure. Next, specific chemical composition along with the physical properties. Adding to this, it must be solid and stable at room temperature. A mineral must be a solid and stable at room temperature. I repeat, naturally occurring, inorganic or abiotic, ordered atomic structure, specific chemical composition, chemical formula. Next, it should possess or it should be solid and stable at room temperature. If any substance satisfies all of these conditions, then you can call it as a mineral. Next, here you have an important statement. The basic source of all minerals is hot magma. We all know that the Earth's interior is comprised of molten material, which is called as magma. Especially it lies in asthenosphere, which is present in mantle. Okay, and here you have the physical properties of various minerals. You just go through them. They are very generalized properties. Okay. Next, minerals are generally considered or categorized into 2 types: metallic minerals and non-metallic minerals. Within the metallic, we have ferrous and non-ferrous. If you can add one more type here, that is precious minerals. Precious is a part and parcel of non-ferrous only. Okay. Now, examples for ferrous minerals. Ferrous metallic minerals in the sense iron containing metallic minerals. Non-ferrous in the sense without iron, but still they are having metallic structure. And non-metallic in the sense no metal content at all. For example for ferrous metallic minerals, you have iron, cobalt, manganese, etc. And for non-ferrous metallic minerals, you can include zinc, copper, okay, and aluminum. And examples for precious non-ferrous metallic minerals, you have gold, silver, platinum, etc. Okay, examples are important. And for non-metallic, you can include, in fact, coal, limestone, etc. All these are non-metallic minerals. Next, the same examples are mentioned here. For precious stones, you have gold, silver, platinum, and for ferrous, you have iron. Non-ferrous, you have copper, zinc, tin, aluminum, etc. Okay, and for non-metallic, you have sulfur, phosphate, nitrates. Cement is a mixture of non-metallic minerals. If you want to produce cement, it requires some raw materials. One of the raw materials is limestone. Okay, for example, if you want to manufacture or produce 1 kg of cement, you require 4 kgs of limestone. So, cement is a mixture of non-metallic minerals. Now, I told you that rock is an aggregate of mineral. Yes, it is an aggregate of one or more minerals. It can be either hard or soft, that too with variable colors. Okay. For example, you have granite. Granite is a hard rock. Next, you have soapstone, which is a soft rock. Next, you have another example, gabbro, which is generally black in color, and you have quartzite, which is milky white in color. Okay, so rock can be either hard or soft, and it can be of variable colors. Okay, next you have feldspar and quartz. These are the most common minerals that are found in rocks. Feldspar and quartz, very, very important names. Next, you have the petrology. It is nothing but the study or science of rocks, petrology. Now, then generally rocks are categorized into 3 types. Igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks, and metamorphic rocks. Igneous rocks, the term ignis means fire. Ignis means fire. These are the rocks which are generally formed due to melting, cooling, and solidification of molten material, which can be either lava or magma. Igneous rocks are generally formed due to melting, cooling, and solidification of magma or lava, or simply we can say that cooling and solidification of magma or lava. So that is why you have the term ignis, means fire. Next, sedimentary rocks. Sediments, nothing but these are the disintegrated parts or broken parts of rocks or landmass. Okay, for example, you have some rock here which is eroded by some river or glacier or some wind. These eroded sediments, they are deposited somewhere else. You have the first generation deposits, next series of deposits, next series of deposits. In this manner, if you have the series of deposits, then automatically over a period of time, because of compaction, deposition and compaction, this entire structure, all the sediments, they become rock. Okay, such kind of rock is called as sedimentary rock. So sedimentary rock has been formed due to the compaction or cementation of sediments. Okay, next you have the metamorphic rocks. The term metamorphism is nothing but change of form. Metamorphism is nothing but change of form. Generally, when other types of rocks, that is igneous and sedimentary rock, when they are subjected to high temperature and high pressure at a time or simultaneously, when other types of rocks are subjected to high temperature and high pressure conditions at a time, that will lead to the recrystallization or rearrangement of crystals within the rock takes place. As a result, you have the scope for the formation of metamorphic rocks. So metamorphic rocks are formed due to the existence of high temperature and high pressure conditions. Okay. Now, then you can have a look in the chapter 5. First, it is igneous rock. I told you that igneous, it is nothing but related to fire. The rocks which are formed due to cooling and solidification of magma or lava, they are nothing but igneous rocks, which are considered as primary rocks. That is very important. Igneous rocks are considered as primary rocks. Next. Now, If molten material, it cools down slowly at greater depths, then mineral grains may be very large. Generally, remember, if you have the more time for cooling and solidification, if you have the more time for cooling and solidification, you can expect the large sized grains within the rock. Okay, if it is fast, it is small sized grains. So large size in the sense it is coarse or rough, small size it is smooth, more or less. So if cooling and solidification takes place on a rapid note, you can expect the smooth structure on the part of rock, and if it takes place on a very slow, in a slow manner, then you can expect a rough structure on the part of rock. Okay, and examples for igneous rocks, you have granite, gabbro, pegmatite, and basalt. Okay, apart from this, you can look at igneous rocks. Within the igneous, we have intrusive rocks and extrusive rocks. Extrusive rocks, they can be found on the earth's surface, especially due to the cooling and solidification of lava. And intrusive rocks, nothing but something which is inside. This is due to cooling and solidification of magma. Okay. Now, examples for intrusive igneous rocks: gabbro, diorite, granodiorite, and granite. This is a very important one. Next, examples for extrusive igneous rocks, you have basalt, andesite, dacite, and rhyolite. Okay, remember basalt. Next, you have the differences between igneous rocks and sedimentary rocks. I told you that igneous rocks are formed due to cooling and solidification of magma or lava, and sedimentary rocks are formed due to compaction or cementation of sediments. Okay. Now, this is the first point we have already discussed. Second point, they are hard and compact, but when it comes to the sedimentary rocks, they are relatively softer. Okay. Next, third point, you cannot find any layers or stratas within the igneous rock. But in sedimentary rocks, yes, you can find so many layers. Why? Because after all the sediments are deposited in a strata format or layer format. Next, igneous rocks contain crystals of variable sizes, okay? But when it comes to sedimentary rocks, they do not contain crystals. Next, this is important. Igneous rocks do not contain fossils at all. Okay, fossils nothing but they are the imprints of previous generation or previous era animals or plants. Okay, but when it comes to the sedimentary rocks, yes, they contain fossils. Okay, and so many fossil or fuels like coal, crude oil, etc. They can be generally found in the sedimentary rocks itself. Okay, and example we have discussed in the chat. Next, after igneous rocks, we have sedimentary rocks. The term sedimentum means settling. Okay, I told you that the compaction or cementation of the eroded sediments is nothing but responsible for the formation of sedimentary rocks. The process of formation of rock is called as lithification. Okay, lithification is nothing but the process of formation of rock. Lith in the sense rock. Now, within the sedimentary rocks, we have mechanically formed sedimentary rocks, organically formed sedimentary rocks, and chemically formed sedimentary rocks. Mechanically, it is nothing but due to dynamic forces or mechanical forces. For example, you have sandstone, conglomerate, limestone, next shale, loess, etc. Next, organically formed, you have geyserite, chalk, limestone, coal, etc. Next, chemically formed sedimentary rocks, you have chert, limestone, halite, potash. Okay, try to remember these examples, it's very important. You can observe that in this chart also. You have sedimentary rocks, you have clastic, chemical, biological rocks. Okay, and here it is nothing but dynamically formed or physical forces. They are responsible for their formation. You have conglomerate, breccia, sandstone, siltstone, mudstone, and shale rocks. Chemically, limestone, dolostone, evaporites. Biologic, you have coal and chert. Okay. Next, metamorphic rocks. Metamorphism is nothing but change of form. We have discussed this point. Okay. When other types of rocks like igneous rock and sedimentary rocks, when they are subjected to high temperature and high pressure condition at a time, then over a period of time, due to recrystallization, they get metamorphed into metamorphic rocks. Okay, it takes thousands of years. Okay, that is why metamorphic rocks is very precious in its value, their value. Now, within the metamorphism, we have two types. One is dynamic metamorphism, other one is thermal metamorphism. Okay. Dynamic metamorphism is nothing but it is mechanical disruption and reorganization of original minerals within the rocks due to breaking and crushing without any appreciable chemical changes. So it is purely to do with the physical changes, not to do with the chemical changes. Then it is considered as dynamical metamorphism. And you have thermal metamorphism. It is nothing but materials of rocks chemically after and due to the temperature, in fact involvement of temperature, you have some kind of chemical changes, okay, recrystallization that leads to the formation of metamorphic rocks. And within this we have contact metamorphism. Next you have regional metamorphism. Okay, contact metamorphism is nothing but rocks come in contact with the hot intruding magma and lava, then recrystallization takes place. When the rocks interact with or come in contact with the magma or lava, during that process you have the recrystallization takes place, resulting in metamorphic rocks, which is contact metamorphism. Next you have the regional metamorphism. It is nothing but it's a kind of process wherein some rocks undergo recrystallization due to the deformation caused by tectonic shearing together with a high temperature and high pressure. It is to do with the tectonic movement and involvement of temperature and pressure conditions. Okay, so mainly dynamic metamorphism, thermal metamorphism. Within the thermal we have contact metamorphism and regional metamorphism. Try to remember this chart. Next you have lineation or foliation. The term is important. Arrangement of minerals or grains in metamorphic rocks, especially in the layer format. If grains are arranged in the layer format within the rocks, then you can call it as foliation or lineation. So foliated rock is a rock which comprises of grains in the layer format. Okay, non-foliated in the sense without layers. Next, apart from this, you have banding. Banding is nothing but alternating thick to thin layers within the rock. Okay, grains are arranged in a alternative layer. Some are thick and some are thin. Then such kind of rock is called as banded rocks. Okay, and process is called banding. So you have foliated and non-foliated. Next, you can see the examples for metamorphic rocks here. Gneiss, granite. It's not granite actually, it's a gneiss. Gneiss is a metamorphic rock of granite. Okay, here you can clearly see foliated or layer format, rock with layers. You have examples slate, schist and gneiss. Non-foliated you have quartzite and marble. Okay, in fact if limestone is subjected to high temperature and high pressure, it becomes marble. If sandstone is subjected to high temperature and high pressure, it becomes quartz. And I told you that if granite is subjected to same high temperature and high pressure, it becomes gneiss. So other types of rocks, sedimentary and igneous rock, they can become metamorphic rocks when they are subjected to high temperature and high pressure conditions. Okay, this is true with your metamorphic rocks. Next, you have a concept of rock cycle. Remember, no rock is a permanent rock, which means that any rock can become another type of rock. For example, we have igneous rock. Generally, what is the mechanism? When some solid mass gets melted and cooling and solidification takes place, then automatically you can expect the formation of igneous rock. So if you want to have the formation of igneous rocks, melting, cooling and solidification, these are the conditions. Next you have sedimentary rocks. Sedimentary rocks are generally formed due to weathering, erosion, deposition, compaction, or cementation. Okay, weathering or erosion, deposition, compaction, or cementation. Simply we call it as lithification. Okay, so sedimentary rock can become igneous rock if it is subjected to high temperature, wherein it gets melted, and on cooling and solidification, the same rock can it can give rise to igneous rock. And if igneous rock is subjected to weathering and erosion and subsequent deposition and compaction, it can give rise to sedimentary rock. Okay, next you have metamorphic rock. Igneous rock can become metamorphic rock if it is subjected to high temperature and high pressure at a time simultaneously. Okay, and sedimentary rock can become metamorphic rock same when it is subjected to high temperature and high pressure condition. Now, metamorphic rock can become igneous rock on melting, cooling, and solidification. Metamorphic rock can become sedimentary rock on weathering or erosion, deposition, and compaction or cementation. So, in this manner, any rock can become another form of or another kind of rock when they are subjected to specific conditions. This is nothing but rock cycle. So no rock is a permanent rock. This is the fact you have to remember. It's a kind of cyclic movement. This is what is the rock cycle. We just go through this statement. And you have some diagram here of rock cycle, but whatever the map that I have provided to you here, it is somewhat simpler. Try to remember this. This is to with the chapter number 5, minerals and rocks. Okay, in this chapter we have discussed what is mineral and what is rock. Okay, types of minerals and their examples, next types of rocks and their examples. Okay, and you have the rock cycle. Okay.